Ta-da! Welcome to video number 2 in my Josef Hi-Fi series. This time we're going to be talking about my musical inspirations. Tremendous piece of artwork, as I briefly demonstrated in the first video. Obviously that we've got a slightly bigger one. This one is the smaller one that is in the house and has been framed up and all the rest of it. So we'll kick off with that today. First of all, it's obviously got to start with the inspiration for me, which came from Sam Dunn, who did the Headbangers Journey documentary on metal music, where he broke different subgenres up accordingly and had the band's names there. Well, I went a bit further and actually took the logos and things, and we'll go a bit more into that as we go. Needless to say, we've got to, I tried to get that over a period of 2 years. I did try and obtain that original poster that was used in the documentary. That wasn't meant to be. That administration changes, a whole lot of complications. So I just got to the point where I said, I'm going to build this thing myself. So I employed the assistance of James, who assisted me. True rock and roll brother, no doubt about it, who assisted me with collating and putting all this together and doing the bit of being the tech whiz that he was, put it together for me. Then had my good friend Alan, picture framer from Outlet Square Picture Framers, who put this together again. Just a trip to his store and you'll see a bunch of LPs behind glass that he's put together. Again, so I'm passionate about what this is all about. And then, of course, well, obviously Wayne and Linda write on signs that actually digitally got this printed out in the way I wanted it. I actually do like the bigger one. The colours are just a little bit more vibrant and all the rest, but this has taken years to get to where we are, so it is what it is, and it is enjoyable. That's the key thing about this. There's always going to be a million changes that go with this where I'm like, oh, that should have been here and that should have been there. We have to start with something. That's why it is what it is. It's not trying to be correct. Some of the subgenres and that, people will say, oh, we got that in the wrong spot and the timing's all wrong. The whole point is, that's the idea, to get people talking and go, oh, I recognize, oh yeah, ZZ Top, we should hear some of that, and oh, this and that. It gets you sparking the interest. We go over to the hi-fi, we pull the records out, we put them on, and we have a good time. That's what it's all about. It doesn't have to be 100% correct. We've just got to get the sort of stuff out. Of course, this has rock and roll evolution. Obviously, I do like my rock, so obviously this is where it all goes. But at the end of the day, and I sort of created these sub-universes. So at the end of the day, I would love to create another one of these for electronic music. You can already see it now, can't you? Sort of at the top will be craft work, and then working down to the subgenres of disco and house and garage and drum and bass and just all the rest of those genres of music. Any more than for some of you may be aware of the DJ Roots slip map for hip hop, and that sort of transgressing along there with your R&B influences. As it started off with Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5, and then working its way down into the era of the 90s, going through with artists like NWA and Tupac and big names like that sort of coming down, stemming off to the pop sort of side with Michael Jackson and things like that from the Motown sound, and then continually working its way down into current stuff, whether it be The Weeknd or Drake or any of those sort of key names that sort of keep redefining the genres as they go. But it all sort of meets up and comes as one, and it truly is a melting pot at the end of the day. So without further ado, as we kick it on, like for example, in future music, we have here things like soft rock, house, dubstep, progressive electronic, hip hop, R&B, rap, trap, trip hop, trance, head candy, rockabilly, Motown, blues, jazz. Can you believe it? I DJ up here, and 1 out of every 4 weddings we do up here in regional Queensland, Australia, is country influence. But I didn't put country on here. I can't believe it. Anyway, needless to say though, it's all about getting you talking, and someone that's a big country fan will walk in and say, where's the country? Oh, there's a story there. Needless to say though, I kept it in sort of this rock and roll format. So we start with the cream of the crop. It all started. And we're not just talking about The Who or the Beatles or Hendrix, of course. But Elvis particularly was obviously a key influence for me. But even though they are at the top and sort of originators, so to speak, if we keep sort of Rolling Stones and the rest, but we work back to people like John Sebastian Bach, who was the first to introduce a double bass. And at the time, that would have been quite eerie and dark and devilish, so to speak. I like to also make mention now that this is nothing to do with religion, nothing to do with devil worship or anything like that, but any more than the AC/DC horns or all the rest of it. There's always been that highway to hell, that sort of Black Sabbath, that sort of darker side to rock and roll and metal, as it goes without saying. So it's not that, but that's sort of the cream of the crop at the top of the universe, but it comes from the fiery, burning hell side of things, where they've all sort of got to rise from the ground and make their way up. So that's what it's all about. I just really think it was a good way to sort of do it in this sort of space looking sort of background. Again, a galaxy opening up for future music universes, but we work our way down and we see all the names that we love, and that's what it truly is all about. And in my situation, different to Sam Dunn's, obviously being from Australia, I come in with my Aussie pioneers, Aussie pub rock, Cold Chisel, AC/DC, all the rest of that sort of stuff, Rose Tattoo. We work our way down to Aussie hardcore, and of course we've got the Aussie rock with more recent sort of stuff, any more than The Living End, Wolfmother, Jet, Tame Impala, stuff like that. But even some people like Whitlams and Savage Garden that could sort of transgress into that pop era, it's still important stuff though. It sort of shaped our music industry, so to speak. But the key thing is you quickly identify with seeing things. Now, as we move on, just really quickly, the font, I'm not going to tell you what that font is because I'm sure you can figure out where that might have come from. Any more than the colors, anyone that grew up in the 80s, I'm sure you can figure out how I did this color scheme, and I'll be disappointed if you can't. Anyway, hopefully that'll stimulate some discussion down there. But the colors, 80s, TV. All right, so let's just get back straight to it if we can. Again, I want to try and keep these short, so we'll start to begin to wrap it up. But so we've got the music. Just as important, though, you'll see sort of faded into the background are key names of musical instruments and equipment that people like me in the pro audio certainly are using, but have defined that sound. We're talking about things like the Moog synthesizers, and Moog is a brand. Amplifiers like Mesa Boogie, Marshall, Fender. You've got your guitars. Gibson, obviously you've got Fender, Stratocasters, all the rest of it. Pioneer, obviously, even in the electronic field of music with the DJing and stuff we do there. Obviously got brands and PA equipment, things like Clare Brothers and QSC and Maya Sound. All the others are still scattered along here, Avid, Tascam. Obviously you've got things like M Audio, Akai, obviously Native Instruments. You've got Zygian, Pearl, obviously the drumming equipment. Key ones I put at the top are ones like Drumworks and Ampeg. Maya Audio, I said that. Koenigs Maya, Durham Meters, which we'll be talking about. Neve Mixing Console, Steinway and Sons Piano. I mean, these are all legendary names that you just immediately sort of recognize. And the whole idea is to sort of bring that together and just really add a bit more to it. I guess the other key thing is, apart from loving some of, iconic logos that we all know, whether it be Kiss, whether it be Van Halen, even Metallica, it goes without saying, and that comes down into sort of the thrash metal sort of area here. Iconic logos, that's what I love to see. But you will have seen there are a few that have been scattered around in colour. To add a little bit of variety. That goes without saying, my favourite band in the entire world, always has been, always will be, No Doubt, which of course is down the bottom, what a shame. I've got my mother, massive Elvis fan. It goes without saying, of her generation, Elvis. I mean, come on, the king of rock and roll. So, of course, that's lit up there. My wife is a big Taylor Swift fan. Not that she's a big country fan, but obviously as it's sort of generated on and away it goes. That's why that's lit up in gold. She's very big with her techno and the Euro pop sound and that sort of 90s sort of dance sound that happens. So again, I may well do another one of these artworks in time. AC/DC, just important being Australian, and who cannot be a fan. Def Leppard, the Hysteria album, I can't help but feel somehow it all sort of, for me, was there. Poison, glam metal at its finest. I love Poison, there's no question about it. But to be 100%, as much as I love my lighting and pro audio and stuff we do, Poison is a big influence. Even before I saw a video clip for Pink Floyd, it was the Poison video clip Unskinny Bop that just inspired me. What a lighting rig that is, and it's always the benchmark. It's everything it should be in a rock and roll thing, from the lasers to the pyro to even intelligent lighting, and just the big racks of par cans that it was. I mean, it's rock and roll at its absolute finest, and stage design. So hence why a special spot there. My brother, Spice Girls. Me too. It would be a DJ gig if I don't play the Spice Girls. I know it might not be rock and roll, but come on, I put that in girl power. You know, Blondie, Cher, Susie Quattro, Devilgate Drive, all the bangers that belong there. And of course, my father is a big fan of Barbra Streisand, so hence why, and I think it just adds that little bit of colour and variety to the artwork as well. So just a little bit there on how we get to it. And in the Divas section, you know, and we're thinking here more pop music as well, but obviously Shania Twain, you've got your Adele, Celine Dion, Amy Winehouse, Mariah Carey, obviously because she can hit those extra octaves. I think that deserves a mention. And Mary Ford. I'm sorry, I know it's Les Paul and the legendary guitar, but Mary Ford, in my opinion, watching the videos, was the better guitarist. Let's not bring any debate here, so to speak. Needless to say, that's what the artwork's all about, and I love seeing it. It's in prime position in the house, and I guess at the end of the day, you can leave the house and be walking down the hallway and say, oh, you know what? It's been a while since I listened to any Slipknot, or I listened to the Ramones, or perhaps it's a bit of Motley Crue. And then you want to get in the car and, oh yeah, well, let's have some of that. If I'm not listening to Rebel FM, it goes without saying, but it's a wonderful thing. It's my gift to you at the end of the day is to walk out of the house going, I forgot all about, you know, a particular band. You say, whoa, I haven't heard anything from Faith No More in a long time. Well, they were touring, but needless to say, the whole idea is just to sort of stimulate that. And that's what the whole artwork is really all about, and I'm really happy with where it is. There's some key things that aren't there. Of course, there's Silver Chair, I'm a massive fan. Australia, goes without saying. But at the same time, one of the greatest innovators, certainly of the 90s, that turned music on its head and just took the sound of guitars and drums and turned it into something else. One of the greatest acts, as far as I'm concerned, the Prodigy. It just, you know, I cannot say enough about the Prodigy, and really the way the sound comes about and what they tried to achieve with making it happen is on a level something else. And there's a great documentary on YouTube that I highly recommend you watch about them, and it's just awesome stuff. That'll wrap it up now, I believe, for video number 2. Next one we're going to move on to will be about the room. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks again.